Hey, what's up? It's Sam. I hope you guys are doing well. I have been having a really good time this weekend playing Path of Exile 2 early access, and I kind of wanted to sit down and take some time away from the game after I've played this whole weekend and try to give you my first impressions as a beginner to this series. I'm really excited about this game. Spoilers, I think it's really good. But hey, let's get into the details of what I think makes this game good. And pretty much you guys were right. And um, I'm having a great time. And I think it's a strong game and it has a good foundation to build upon. So here are my thoughts. The servers launched pretty well, considering the amount of excitement and hype that there was around this. I know there was like a million people like waiting in line wanting to play this game, probably over that in their estimations. And all things considered, I think there was only like a couple hour delay to actually getting into the game. That's insane. Like if you think about that from a technical perspective, that is absolutely top tier performance from this game studio. And I think the team over there who probably were up all night the entire weekend, honestly, they did such a great job. Now, for me personally, I was able to log in like 3 or 4 hours after. I kind of tried to log in, got kicked out a couple times, and then I decided, well, you know what? I'm not like a god tier gamer. I'm just like a normal Joe. I'm not gonna like min max this stuff, so I'm gonna give it a few hours and then see if it works that night. Thankfully, that strategy worked out for me, and I was able to get in after a gym session. So thank you GGG for a relatively smooth launch. That was amazing. You know, I have a lower end PC. I built it like 7 years ago or so, and it's starting to show its age. So I did have some technical problems that I think were personal to me and not necessarily to everybody else. While I was trying to record gameplay and play the game and do a couple other things at once, my PC froze multiple times throughout the weekend. So while that was like personally frustrating, I still was able to get some content for this video, and I'm excited moving forward. And thankfully today, as of Sunday, I haven't crashed at all today playing the game, so that was really cool. I also experienced some rubber banding on the network side of things, which I just think is part of the early access game, and I'm really hopeful that it'll work on my internet. I have decent internet. It's not amazing. I think it's like 40-ish down, but it's not like incredible. But I can play other games okay. Like I can play World of Warcraft, shooters, and other things online, and I haven't really had much of a problem. So I think there's just some optimization work that needs to be done for GGG. All that being said, after those kinks were kind of worked out, I started to have a really good time playing the game. Let's talk about the gameplay. So for me, the gameplay, it started out rough. I'm not going to lie. Like, it was tough. And that was partly on me because I chose Warrior. And I mean, I didn't know, but apparently it's like one of the hardest classes to play early game. So I had some struggles early on, a lot of deaths. I'm not embarrassed to admit that. The game is, harder than any other modern ARPG on the market right now, and I didn't know that really. So number one, I picked the hardest class to do early game, and then the game itself is hard, number two. So I had some interesting, first few hours. But I'm a gamer, so I pushed through. I play pretty grindy games, and so I was giving it a chance, and I'm glad I did. And, I play games like old school RuneScape, classic World of Warcraft. Those are all super grindy games, so I'm in it for the grind when I choose a game, and I think it's going to pay off here. Now, Warrior is fun. Once you get into a build and once you understand what's going on. Now, as a beginner, I had no idea what the heck was going on, so I had like 50 things to learn at once, and my class was hard, and the difficulty of the game was hard. So I had a few things going against me, but in the end, I'm about the end of Act 2 and bridging on, getting to Act 3 just about now, and I'm having a good time. I've got a decent build. My passives are working great for me. I figured out what I'm building. I'm basically building this slam build that kind of just lets me jump slam into mobs and then bone crack them, and there's a bunch of bonuses and stuff. So I'm having fun. Speaking of builds, man, this is one of the strongest things about the game for me, and I know this is what brings people to Path of Exile. I am having such a great time figuring out the builds. I know in my impression video I said, man, that passive tree looks insanely like intimidating. You guys were right, it's not. If you spend like 5 to 10 minutes just reading and planning out some sort of semblance of logic throughout a route, it's like super straightforward. Like, I didn't realize how straightforward it was going to be. And I've never played the game before, and to experience this level of complexity but ease of entry and in terms of making builds, I'm having a great time. I feel that the choices that you make when you make your builds, you select your passives, your skills, basing them around your items that you have currently, I think those are powerful choices, and it makes the game good. Now, there's some nuances around those choices that I think could be made better. I'm going to talk about those a little bit. I think the first thing I'd like to bring up is that, the passives and the amount of gold that you need to respect those passives. I think it's in an okay place, and it looks like the gold scales as you respec. I think that's an okay mechanic. It's kind of the middle ground. It's not too expensive and it's not too cheap, so it still makes your choices in the passive tree impactful, and I do think that that's a good sort of direction moving forward, to be able to respec as much as I can there. One thing that I'm having trouble with is the items. There's not a lot of loot, and the problem I'm running into now is that when I do hit a wall in terms of dying to mobs, not being able to kill the mobs, the loot just isn't dropping. Now, I've gone back and farmed, and I've done that a couple times to farm up, and eventually I kind of like my build improves, or I get a level or two, and that helps me, but items aren't really dropping. I've tried to gamble, I've tried to create items, but the problem with the crafting materials to create the items is that you need items to drop to create the crafting materials, and items aren't dropping a lot. So it's kind of like a catch-22. I think they're going to be looking at this. I would suspect that they would look at the item rate as far as how much items are dropping in the game and loot in general. I hope they do, and I hope this isn't just like going to be static like this and they're not going to make any changes. But from everything that I've seen about JGG, they're going to be okay, I think, and they're going to make those smart decisions that are cutting edge. So again, yeah, the items, it was a weaker point for me, but it's not turning me off from the game. Now, the maps in this game, they're huge. Like, I know you might have heard this outside of my gameplay, but it's like you probably do one map to 3 to 4 different instances in like Diablo 3 or something like that. That's probably a good idea of one big map there. And then the mobs respawn when you die, or they'll respawn even if you don't die after a certain amount of time. So it's not that you've just cleared a map and you're good to go and you can just run through in case you missed an objective or something. No, you have to re-kill all those all those monsters and get back there. So it wasn't a deal breaker for me. Again, I play these grindy games, so it's not that bad. But I do hope that they add a little bit more to do in the games, as far as like, you know how like there's events and stuff in other ARPGs, like, you know, you'll click a shrine and mobs will spawn in like D4 or something like that. I think they need a little bit more of that in terms of what's populating the maps. Okay, so the biggest thing for me when kind of thinking about a new game and trying out a new game is, how does the game feel? And this is like many variables put together in one sort of massive ball of like, okay, this is what makes the game good. And it's a bunch of little details that come together, and it's not like one singular thing, but it's like a bunch of little details, and they come together and make this really good feeling game. For me, in this game, I like the difficulty. I like the environment and the atmosphere of the game. The music is insanely good, like so good. I listened to the music nonstop, and it was just on the loop, and I had no problems with it. It's kind of catchy. At some points, I'm a musician outside of everything I do here, and sometimes it reminded me of kind of like the Game of Thrones intro at some points. I like the monster variety in this game is amazing. I have not at one point in this playthrough that I've done have I come across a monster where it was like, oh yeah, I've seen that before, and they just rehashed that monster. No, there is so much variety in the monsters. I've never seen a rehashed mob yet. Boss fights are insane in this game. They are so good. I know everybody's saying, well, it's just Dark Souls plus, ARPG. And it's like, it's kind of true in terms of like the boss fights being hard, and you have to roll and dodge, and you have to, use your abilities and all. It's kind of true, but I wouldn't go as far as to say that it's exactly like that. But the boss fights, man, they're so amazing. Like, they're so epic. Like, the mechanics that they have, they're unique. The setting that each boss is in, the backdrops are amazing, and you just feel like it's an epic encounter. And it's hard, like it's super hard, but it's not like frustratingly hard where you're quitting the game over it. At least not for me. So kind of all of these details, the environment, the music, the kind of feel of combat, while it can be a little slow, and I think that's just because I'm playing warrior. Plus, the depth of play in the builds, the passive, the character development. I think it all comes together and makes this really core gameplay feel that is so important to games nowadays. I'm not worried about, what's happening outside the game. I'm totally focused on this game. It keeps me locked in, and I have a great sense of like escapism and sort of like just I'm thinking about the game, and I'm on top. There's nothing else in my mind when I'm doing this. I'm just focused on the game and how I can get better at the game, and I think it's doing it well because of these reasons. So a couple technical things that I wanted to go over. The Steam Deck playability. Yes, it works on Steam Deck, and I was super pleased with this. If you remember, I'm going out of town for vacation during Christmas, and I really wanted to be able to play the game because I can't just bring my whole PC rig on the plane and fly down to my family's house, unfortunately. But I wish I could, but can't do that. So thankfully, it works really well on the Steam Deck. In fact, I went to a coffee shop during this weekend to just try it out to see how it worked on the go, and it worked great. There is a little pixelation. The Steam Deck's not like a top performance piece of tech, but it works, and I can play the game. I'm not interrupted with the game. I'm making progress on my character, and I thought it was great. This is huge for me, and I'm really happy about it. So the graphics, also in general, not just on the Steam Deck, but on the game. Graphics, I will say personally, they're not a big deal to me. I would rather the developers focus on gameplay. And for instance, graphics aren't a big deal to me because I play games like old school RuneScape. Like, those are arguably some of the dumbest graphics in comparison to like any AA, AAA game, right? But that gameplay loop in old school RuneScape is incredible. So yeah, the graphics in this game are amazing. Like, they're great. I think the spell effects, what my character is doing, how my character looks, the actions that he moves around, the monster animations, the environments, the lighting. Man, every time I open up that mini map on my screen, I think of Diablo 2, like instantly. When I look about the map and I think and I look at my screen and I see what's going on, and it's dark and it's gloomy, and there's like a light circle around my character. I'm like, oh, this is Diablo 2, but like super influenced by Diablo 2, and I just love it. It looks great. It looks amazing. So I like it. It's very good. Here's kind of a wrap up for us. While this is not like a review or anything, I don't know if I do that here yet. Maybe I will do reviews eventually. I just kind of wanted to give my first impressions of the game as a beginner. I think my first kind of time in the Path of Exile game, this was a strong start. And I think that Grinding Gear Games has done a great job of just like really bringing in the new players and making it accessible for them. From what I've heard about Path of Exile 1 is that it was very difficult to start that game. And I know from experience, I tried. I only put like 40 minutes or something into it. But I think what Path of Exile 2 is doing is huge. And I'm excited for the future of this game. I really think there's a good spot in it. And it's everybody's so hyped about the game because they have the Path of Exile background. I agree with them. I'm on the hype train with you guys. I think it's going to be amazing. Like, this is probably going to be the top ARPG game for a long time. And it blows D4 out of the water, and it's in beta, essentially. And I'm excited for a lot of the changes that they're probably going to implement. I think they're going to be doing a great job, and I think it's going to be a strong, strong offering to just an amazing time for gaming right now. So those are kind of my impressions of the game. I think what GGG have done with the entry level for a beginner, I think it's great. You got me hooked. I'm in it. I'm going to keep making some I'm going to keep making some Path of Exile videos for the channel. If you have any ideas for what you want to see, let me know. And I'll put some guides together, or I'll put some commentary together. I just want to hear from you guys what you want to watch and what you'd like me to make for you. And anyways, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate each and every one of you joining. And if you like this content, like, and if you want some more, subscribe. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.